Hi, and welcome to the Pride Road Architects podcast. I'm Lisa Rains, and each episode I'll talk to people who interest me in the world of architecture and business. So join me and fellow lions and lionesses as we explore architecture in the den. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Architecture in the Den with me, your host, Lisa Rains from Pride Road Architects, the architectural practice franchise. And today, I'm delighted to welcome Darya Simonovich. So, hi, Darya. Do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, tell me a bit about yourself.
Sure. I run a few small companies. I run a swim school for children called Chelsea Swim Spa. I run a small coffee shop called Chelsea Creperie. I also rent properties for filming, advertising, and short term. I'm a mom of 3. I'm currently playing up with an idea of a dog hotel, and I'm writing a book called The Immigrant Entrepreneur: How I Came in this country with no money, barely speaking English, without knowing anyone, and if I can run 5 companies, so can you.
You've just made it sound really easy. Oh wow! So first of all, do you want to just tell us a bit about your journey? So, when did you come to the UK?
Sure.
What
I
happened?
arrived 17 years ago. I arrived from Russia, a very small city. I don't support this craziness, what's happening. I don't support the war, so just make it clear. It's very sad what's happening, but we are here. I focus on what I can improve, what I can work on. So I spend my energy focusing on what I have. I've been working in investment banking. I've been studying here in Imperial College, risk management and financial engineering. But when I got pregnant with my first child, I lost my job. My department was closed. So I decided to stay a little bit longer with the kids. And then I started to dream about having a work around my kids, not specifically 9 to 5. And I started to open small businesses one by one. So the first one was a swim school. I opened it 8 years ago. And then the Chelsea Creperie is 5 years ago. I opened a small coffee shop, and properties I've been doing for 10 years.
Wow, that's a lot. So when how old were you when you arrived in the UK? She says, trying to do some maths quickly.
Sure. So I was 22. Now I'm 38. Sorry for all the details, but why not?
So what had you studied in Russia?
So I did applied mathematics and computer science as my first degree. And here I kind of wanted to utilize that, did risk management and financial engineering. But I'm a people person. I want to be out there, kind of build a team, talk to people. That's what kind of gives me a buzz. I'm not really in front of the screen person. And that's why I started the business building.
And why did you leave Russia?
So I came to study and for experience, and I just stayed here because got married, kids, you know how it is, more opportunities here, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, just before we go forward, so have you still got family back in Russia, and how are they managing?
Yes, I'm a single child. I'm the only child, and my parents are still there, but thanks God they can visit. It's not a direct flight, but through Istanbul they could fly. Yeah, and they're here quite often. Yeah, so that's great. I'm grateful that it's still possibility, you know what I mean?
Yeah. How are they finding it?
It's very difficult for them because if you don't support the war, it's difficult because some people, they might, they're like almost living scared, you know what I mean? So yeah, but they can't leave the country like permanently. So yeah, no, it's sad what's happening. Yeah.
It'd be really tough, really tough. It's really easy for people to kind of demonize sort of the Russians, but it's there must be a lot of people that don't support the war there.
Exactly.
Anyway, on a more upbeat tone. So you came over, you did a degree, you worked in finance, was that? And then
Yes, so I worked in finance, and I did a bit of brokerage, like working for Tradition and Talit Pribon. And yeah, so I kind of, with the businesses, I feel much happier. It's much more dynamic. I get a buzz out of building, exploring, new ventures. Yeah, kind of serial entrepreneur is what I want to call myself. Yeah.
how did you, so a lot of our listeners are kind of, we're kind of geared towards architects, architectural students, architects in practice, and maybe sort of people who are thinking of setting up their own practice. So what is it that made you start up your business in the first place, and how did you find that?
I would say, you know how they say, fall in love with the problem rather than the solution.
Oh,
And me, I am rather finding in love with solutions. And that's why I think I only run very small businesses. So I kind of see the opportunities. Like, for example, we bought a house which had only 4 floors, and we saw an opportunity to build a basement. So we digged 1 floor, the basement, we craned the pool inside our house. And basically, when the building was finished, I was trying to utilize the space better. And I was like, oh, why don't we try to set it up as a swim school, like a basement part. And so now there is a swim school. I've been running it for 8 years. So me, I kind of just try to see opportunities. And for entrepreneurs, the truth to be told, I mean, everyone can have an idea. You go to the shower, you have an idea, but then actually it's all about execution. Do you take that leap? Do you start at least baby steps? So yeah.
wow. There's a lot there. So you just started, so you built a swimming pool in your basement.
Yeah.
Right. I'm guessing you live in central London.
Yes, we live in Chelsea. Yeah.
So what was that process like? Because we're, architects listening into this, what was it like to build a swimming pool in central London?
It was amazing project. We were very lucky with the building, so it was underdeveloped. So it was like really, we bought it in a very bad state. So it's 4 floors, and in certain areas of London, like if you have a house in Knightsbridge, it probably makes sense to build 2 floors basements. But in Chelsea, 1 floor is kind of good enough, because if you go much deeper, it becomes so much more expensive. So, but in Chelsea, every time you add square meter, it makes sense. So we basically dig the basement. We lived in the house.
Was there a basement at the time of the project?
So it was just 4 floors. And I think when we bought the house.
All above ground, or?
Exactly. So it was all above ground. So it was like lower ground floor, first floor, and second floor.
Right. Okay.
And so we just digged 1 floor basement. So the house was like on.
Was it a terrace?
So end of terrace. We have a double fronted Victorian house, end of terrace. But of course, still you have to consult with the neighbors, surveyor, everything. And we didn't really build the swimming pool because it's quite expensive. That's why there are not so many swimming pools in London. What we did, we bought a swimming pool, which is hydro pool. And hydro pool is like, it's only 3 meters by 6 meters, and we craned it. And it's not very expensive. I think you could buy one for £25,000 or like £30,000. So it's like not completely, some pools, they could cost 100K, 150K. So that was a kind of on a budget.
Okay, so I'm getting a bit fixated about basements.
Please.
I'm guessing you weren't expecting the conversation to go this way. So did you have to underpin?
Exactly. So the house was underpinned, and
Mhm.
we actually still lived in the top 2 floors. So
Yeah.
what we did, we kind of set it up as a, kind of independent apartment with a kitchen, with a bathroom. So we did the refurb first 2 floors. I mean, top
Yes.
2 floors.
Yeah.
We lived there, and then underpinned. Quite scary, but
Yeah.
we made it.
It's quite a lot. So just to unpack the proposition of putting in the swimming pool in, had you intended to run it as a swim school as part of the works, or did you start by doing it for personal use?
Exactly. So the idea was a personal use, like an American dream to have a house with a pool, and it was a personal use, very small, very warm pool. And when my daughter was around 3 months, I started to go to swimming lessons, like water
Hmm.
babies. And I saw that they run swimming lessons in the pool even smaller than mine.
Right.
So first I started to rent the pool for other swim schools, but then I kind of see it worked very well, and I just decided to open my own school. I didn't have constraints, so yeah.
So did it have a separate entrance already, or did
So
you have
we
to separate?
so we have 2 entrances,
Hmm.
but unfortunately it was not designed very well. So it's at the moment it's still the main entrance is used for the swim school clients,
Well,
and
through
for
the
some people
house, and then you go
it's
in there.
odd
Yeah.
because why would you want so many people coming through? But for me, I'm entrepreneur, I get, it's so amazing. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
having all constant customer feedback, all this community feel interaction, plus you could have a housekeeper all the time,
yeah.
and from like 7 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night, I have housekeepers Monday to Friday, and with 3 kids, I like, it's a godsend, you know what I mean?
Amazing, amazing. And how many kids, how many are in the class at any one time?
So we do private lessons, we do 2-to-1 lessons, and we do group lessons, but very small groups,
Uh,
like 3-4 babies
yeah.
in a class. Yeah, so it's
So
not big.
I'm just thinking in terms of the planning permissions of
Yes.
the school, was it difficult to get planning permission to run it as a school?
We were very lucky with the council,
Mm.
and to be perfectly honest with you, maybe we're also lucky with the neighbors.
Mhm.
And also, I think it's kind of, end of terrace house. We had council coming in only once,
Mhm.
and they never came back. And
Mm.
I hear from other people who kind of do the same.
Mm.
Um, they might run it for 10 years before like council comes in. I
Yeah.
mean, council have a lot on their plate, so I mean, we shouldn't be one of their concerns.
It's fine. It's fine. What an amazing proposition. So you've got that running the swim school sort of uh kind of private hire, 1 to 3 people. Is it in constant use?
It's a great I mean, of course it's all kind of patterns, and I would say yes, Monday to Friday we run lessons, like 9 o'clock in the morning until like 6:30. It is in constant use. I mean, teachers, they have a lunch break, but I mean, for example, summer term is much busier than, let's say, winter term.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've got managers in place to run it.
I
Managers or
have a team of housekeepers, so kind of morning shift and evening shift, and I have a lady who helps me with the bookings.
yeah,
So yeah, I would say, I mean, I still kind of supervise a little bit,
right.
but it's so nice, it's such a nice business. Everything is delegated, and
Yes.
yeah, it's good margins as well.
There's some good lessons to be learnt there. So, you talk about running a swim school
Yeah,
and you're not in the water.
yeah,
So, I think there's a lot of kind of lessons to be learned about running an architectural practice, about kind of, if you want to run a business doing what you're passionate about, how
yeah.
much that do you actually want to be doing? Can you delegate any of that? At what point can you get managers in, and actually make it an enjoyable proposition?
Absolutely, absolutely. As they say, the most successful business owner is the one who fired himself from the business or fired herself.
Mm.
So it's all about your zone of genius, focus on that, and everything else just delegated, delegated, delegated. And
Yeah.
swim school is a very sexy business in the shape that it's kind of very high barrier for entry. There are very few swimming pools in London.
Mm.
And so like to be an owner of the pool, I mean, it's like also the parents, they would pay for their children lessons, like quite big money. They would be stingy with themselves, but for kids, like take my money. And Chelsea is a good area. Yeah, so we're very lucky.
Okay, so that's about location and knowing your market.
Yeah.
So was it a leap to set it up as a business? I suppose you already had the capital, you'd already made the capital investment for yourself.
Exactly. So to be honest with you, that was probably the easiest business to set up in the
Mm,
terms of, how much does it cost to set up a website?
yeah,
How much does it, and even to invite the teacher,
yeah,
you just have a few trials with a teacher, you select the best one.
yeah,
And why also this business is amazing, that the cash flow, everyone is paying upfront.
yeah.
So you come for a trial, for example, you like it, and then you pay for 10 lessons in
Mm,
advance or for term in advance. So you are sitting already on a cash, but you pay the teachers only monthly. So
yeah.
I mean, I learned the hard way, like running a coffee shop is completely another level. I mean,
Okay, so how did that transition come about, going from the swim the swim school to the coffee shop?
so I've been doing the swim school for 3 years,
Mm.
and I kind of started to explore like other ideas. You kind of get a little bit bored. You know how they say there are two different types of entrepreneurs: scanners and divers. So
Oh,
diver is
okay.
like Steve Jobs, who dives into Apple, focuses on Apple, and that's where his focus is. And Richard Branson is the one who is like has airlines, has gyms, has music. Now he's going into space, so he's exploring. And
Mm.
so I feel like I love exploring this different opportunities. So I saw an opportunity very close to my home, like literally 1 minute away. It was a corner coffee shop. Like it was there for 19 years. And I was talking about that particular location for 3 years with my friends. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing opportunity right opposite Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. And so when I was on a walk, like my third child was born, she was sitting in my sling, and I walked in and I was like, oh, would you be interested to sell? And he was like, make me an offer. And 3 months later, I had the keys. I had zero knowledge how to run food business. So of course we had to hire a food consultant, but
Mm.
like, ooh, margins are so much tighter. Is the hardest business I've ever been in.
So from one extreme to another.
Yeah, yeah.
So when did you do that? When did you set that one up?
So it was exactly 5.5 years ago.
Yeah.
I approached the owner, and I did it kind of the other way around. Usually people, they're so fascinated by the concept and then they look for location. And I was rather fascinated by location.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to open a franchise. We started to approach franchise, but I felt like the good franchise I wanted to open, they kind of rather raise money themselves through investors, and the not so good ones, they kind of try to sell it through franchise. And my husband is French, so we were cooking crepes every Sunday with kids, and we thought like, it's a food you could eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mm.
We did the market research. We thought it's not enough creperies in the UK compared to France. So maybe there is an opportunity for scalability as well. Like you're successful with one, then you potentially can open 10. So we make this leap. And yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not going to be opening more creperies, that's for sure.
Cool. So when you when you get a premises, I guess is it leased?
Exactly. So we had a very long lease, 15 years lease.
Right, okay.
So we have 10 years left in this lease, but we were very, very lucky with our landlords.
Yeah.
So they were very kind with us during COVID. I mean, COVID year was actually the best for us because we're opposite the hospital, lots of government help. We never closed, always did takeaway. I mean, we've been super lucky. But now, it's very hard. It's much more competitive as well.
Yeah.
So you see on a high street, it's only coffee shops. So more competition, energy crisis, of course, and people, even if you try to increase prices, still more people don't come. It's cost of living is yeah, it's very hard.
Mhm. So does that mean you're committed for the next 10 years or 9.5 years now?
Exactly. But I mean, unless there is an opportunity, someone comes in, makes a better offer, we're exploring different opportunities now as well.
Yeah. So yeah, so always look at your exit strategies as well.
100%.
And so that's two of the businesses. What
Yeah.
are the businesses?
So property is actually my favorite business.
Okay.
Airbnb, I love it. Like it's the short-term bookings. Of course, there are restrictions in London. Like I have a house in France and a flat in France. I do short-term rentals. What I love about it, I thought, we have a house in France, and I thought it's in the middle of nowhere. But
Mm,
actually, even the house, I mean, it's like in Crozermitage, like Rhône-Alpes area. If by changing the prices, I'm able to rent the house all 12 months, which was
mm,
a massive surprise for me.
mm.
Yeah, and I mean, I have a flat in London, which I rent as well, short term,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, I find it the easiest business ever.
But easier than running a swim school or a creperie.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. And so have you got sort of ongoing projects with that? Are you kind of adding more things to your portfolio?
I'm always looking at adding other things to my
Amazing.
portfolio.
Amazing. Well, we
So
are, we are architects, and Shwara is based in Sutton and Kingston. So we specialize in single story, two-story extensions, loft conversions, and renovations. So if you need a hand with anything, we have let me
absolutely,
know.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely,
plug you in,
absolutely.
Shwara.
Yeah.
So that's the property business. That's the
Yeah.
number 3. So what else are you juggling?
So I rent properties as well for filming and advertising.
Yeah.
So that's kind of another part. I also have started social enterprise, buy one, give one. So every pair of socks you buy from us, we give one pair of socks to homeless people or people in need.
Okay.
It's a great idea, but I don't have enough time to focus on it at the moment.
Yeah.
And we're testing idea about the kind of dog hotel, but for the moment we're just dog sitting with dogs for
Oh,
money. There
yes.
is an amazing app which is like Airbnb for dogs, which is called Rover.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Rover.
and my kids, last year they were dog sitting dogs, and they earned £4,000 just out of that. So it's not about pocket money for kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing. And we've got 2 dogs, and we got them in lockdown, and for the first time we're about to do a family holiday, well, in
Yeah.
August. So
Yeah.
looking at dog care during
Yeah.
that time. Oh my goodness. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, I think it works out. I mean, up here in the northwest,
Yeah.
it's 20. I've found somewhere privately that will do £25 per night per dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, or someone to come to the house and house sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's looking at that, but yeah, there's a lot of dogs in the country.
Absolutely. Lockdown was, absolutely.
Hmm. Hmm. So have you got dogs?
We don't have dogs because my parents, they come sometimes and my dad has a fear of dogs. So we can't really have dog permanently.
Yeah.
But when they are not here, we host a few dogs, sometimes one dog, sometimes two or three maximum. Yeah, it's
And how old are your kids?
10, 8, and 6.
Oh wow. There are I mean I remember mine at that age, they were like, I want a dog, I want a dog, I want a dog, I want constantly. And I kind of like said, right, if you can look after my mum's dog.
Yeah,
But that's a different way. You can make
I know.
making money out of it. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. We
Mm,
had requests during December holidays. There was one puppy.
mm,
It was a French bulldog, and
mm.
the person wanted to pay 2,600 a month for us just to stay with the dog.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't need to work. I mean, we couldn't stay, unfortunately, because we always go to France for Christmas. But it's a good opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, so my two dogs for a week in the height of summer, it's £350.
Yeah,
That's two flights.
yeah, yeah,
That's a holiday for us. Not really.
absolutely.
But yeah, there's money in it. And then, so that's the dog hotel. And the film rental. How
Hmm.
about that?
So you just take pictures of your house. They usually like that it's a central London kind of location. We have two parking spaces as well, and it's double fronted Victorian house.
So it's
And
your house that you rent out.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we use our house, and we use different apps and agencies.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes they come and they just use your front door and pay you £600 for using your front door. But sometimes it's like 10, 15 people and they want to use the full house and
Yeah.
they might stay for a week for a movie or something like that. So it's unfortunately it's not as often as I wish, but
No,
yeah.
we did it once. I was living in Chorlton in Mid Terrace, so very desirable area up
Yeah.
in Manchester, and people were just leafleting through the door. Film companies,
Okay.
would like to, use your house for an advert, and it was for a co-op TV advert, and
Great.
that came in, and then they just changed everything. They
I
redressed it
know.
completely. You're like, what? I wonder why were they looking in this specific location? It's very odd.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, no, but I think we got about £1,000 for a day, and but
exactly.
they kicked us out at like 7 o'clock
Of
in
course.
the morning.
Yeah.
So has your house been in anything?
Yes. So
Yes.
we've been in this movie called Love, Sarah. So they stayed for a week, but unfortunately it was a very low budget. So I think overall for a week we got like £3,000, things like that. But the best work we've been doing with Primark, they rented a house for 2 nights. They were launching their new skincare and they use it for a press release. So of course we were all kicked out of our house, and that was around 5,000 for 2 days, something like that. That was not
Amazing.
lovely. And once we had even Rihanna, like the singer,
Wow.
staying in our house. They rented our house for the day and for the night, and because of the pool, and it was only for, I think, for just pictures of her. And of course they don't tell you who is coming. They say, oh, it's talent coming. So we were actually living in the basement flat.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was around 5,000 as well for
That's
the whole
exciting.
day. So that was beautiful.
That's really exciting. Okay, well, we're coming to an end, but I think there is a fifth or sixth business that you're running around. Is it mentoring?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about?
So I run workshops for entrepreneurs once a month. I run like Entrepreneurs Growth Club, and around 20 people come, and I share like practical hacks, what I learned on my journey, like this wonderful PR light bulb group. That's how we actually connected. And I've been interviewed by Sky News a month ago in the Creperie, and I kind of share all these small bits and bobs. People feel very inspired. I love doing it, and I do as well one-to-one. So I'm a part of this Help to Grow program. Government runs it for small businesses where you could be a business mentor. And I'm studying now business mentoring and coaching. It's with Institute for Leadership and Management, and government pays for your degree so that you could become a better business mentor. So it's great. Love it.
Wow. So if anyone wants to contact you, how's the best way to get in contact?
Absolutely. You could Instagram me, email me. I will be happy to share the contact details. Yeah.
So Darya was just asking for me to tell her my story. Well, I'm an architect with qualified about 25 years ago. And I've also got 3 kids. And I've been made redundant twice whilst on maternity leave. So the thing about architecture is it is quite fickle. So it follows the economy. So when we're doing well, everyone's in employment. But when we head into a recession, architects are usually the first ones to go. So in the last round of redundancies, that like 50% of all architects lost their jobs. So I couldn't, I remember being interviewed for 6 or 7 jobs which just didn't exist, and I had no choice but to go it alone. So that was 12 years ago. I've missed a bit about my history in architecture and who I work for and training and stuff like that, but I ended up having to set up my own practice out of necessity. So very soon kind of streamlined it, and I kind of read that Michael Gerber's book, E-Myth Revisited, and talking about systemizing your business.
I love that book.
I
love that book.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think I talk about it all the time. The idea about systemizing your business just to make things easier and kind of have like franchise mindsets. And that's what I did. So I really found my niche, which is in the residential domestic extensions.
Yes.
We don't do skyscrapers, we don't do multiples, we don't do commercial, we just do extensions and conversions, and we do them very well. And so we have our expertise in that. And we know how to find our clients, we know how to talk to our clients, we know what language and images to use, we know where our clients hang out. So 2 years into setting up my own business, I started focusing on this niche and developing all the systems to support it. And I realized that it's tough to run a family and be an architect at the same time working elsewhere, because it's a long hours culture. And it's very hard to find those flexible roles. And so I thought I'd found a solution that would help kind of people who needed that work-life balance, and then rebranded as Pride Road and offered it as a franchise model. So that was 7 years ago, and now there's 5 franchises around the country.
Yeah. Amazing! Oh my God!
Thank you. And 1 in London. So Schwara's in Sutton and Kingston. I know. Sandy is in Warwick. Laura's in Bournemouth, and the 2 of us up in the northwest.
Perfect.
So, I can see my next meeting arriving. So that's thrown me off. And it's an exciting journey. So I've become a franchisor as well as a director of a practice as well as an architect.
Amazing.
So it's like building all those skills one on top of another. And I guess I'm a deep diver rather than a scanner, going back to your earlier analogy. So yeah, there you go.
Oh, well done. So E-Myth actually really changed your life.
It really did change my life. Yeah.
Wow.
I think that is an essential book for anyone to read if you're thinking of setting up your own practice.
100%.
Right. On that note, it was really lovely to talk to you.
Lovely talking to you too.
Yeah. And see you on Lightbulb. And
Perfect.
if you want to get in contact with us about architecture.
Absolutely. We'll keep you in mind.
Keep us in mind. So thank you very much for coming on the show, and have a lovely rest of Friday and a lovely weekend.
Thank you. You too. Ciao.
Thank you for joining me, Lisa Rains, for Architecture in the Den. If you want to find out about franchising, check out our website, prideratefranchise.co.uk. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe and leave a review. And do get in touch through your favourite platform if you'd like to be a guest.